Looking back at 2024, the property market reached a decade-high record. What were the key factors driving this surge? Did unexpected trends or external forces such as government policies or foreign investment play a role? As we move into 2025, is this growth sustainable or was it a short-term spike? And for that question, I welcome you, our guest, Sulaiman Sahir, Director of Research at Rahim & Co International. Sediam Berhad, I want to say thank you very much, Sulaiman, for joining me. And looking back at 2024, what were the key factors that drove the property market to a decade-high record? Did any unexpected trends or external forces contribute to this surge, such as government policies, foreign investment, or even shift in the consumer behavior?
Firstly, thank you very much. Yes, it was actually a very good news when the minister, Second Finance Minister, announced the results of the performance of the property market in 2024. Where transactions number were actually record high in the past 10 years. As a matter of fact, ever since the turn of the millennium, this is the third highest number of transactions recorded in a year after the peak in 2011 and 2012. On top of that, the total value of all those transactions for the first time, it has breached above 200 billion ringgit in terms of total value of all property transactions in the country. How the market actually performed this encouragingly last year was one because of the improved economic situation that we actually have within the country, where the total population have started to see there's more stability in terms of the global, in terms of the local political front, as well as the local economic prospect for the nation. And on top of that, the growing demand that we actually have, because Malaysia is still a growing country and relatively a young population country, where the demand growth for residential property especially is still seen to be continued. And these are actually fueling more than 60% of the total number of transactions that we have. And this growth is also one of the factors that actually help. This is the low interest rate regimes that we actually have within the country right now. The OPR, the overnight policy rate, remained at 3%, and it has been so since early 2023. And the stability in our OPR creates that kind of confidence in terms of the affordability due to the interest rates that we have right now. Of course, every movement of interest rate would actually have some impact, but these actually are the stable rates have actually garnered more interest and confidence within the consumer. You were mentioning about the government policies. Yes, the government policies, the accommodative government policies, including the policy to retain the OPR at 3%, the continued incentives and stamp duty exemptions given to first-time home buyers are actually continuingly supportive of the property sector. Although I have to say that in the last budget that was actually announced last year, the tax relief incentives that was actually supposed to be introduced soon would actually help the market, but the effect still, it is there's more that we see that can be done to spur the property growth continuously. One of the factors also is actually the changing demographics. The population that we actually have, it has actually matured in a way, and all these matured income earners as well as first-time home buyers who have actually saved up during the pandemic period, or they have actually deferred some of the paid purchases, are actually coming back online with the better confidence within the market. These are the signs that shows that the resilience of the property market that we see on our doors.
Improved economic situations, low interest rates, and government policy and initiative, and also including the changing demographic, is one of the key factors that contribute to a very good performance of the property market. And given the record high in 2024, moving forward, do you see this as a sustainable growth trajectory, or was it more of a short-term spike? Are there specific property segments that perform exceptionally well, and do you expect the same trends to continue in 2025?
The growth that was seen in 2024 was actually a slower growth compared to the hike that was seen in 2022, 2 years ago, 3 years ago from today. That was after the pandemic took into effect. The whole property market was actually slowed down in 2020, 2021. 2022, it spiked. That's where the spike actually happened. Then come 2023, there was a bit of moderation. But 2024, where the moderated growth was actually still expected to continue, it inched up a little. It has actually increased in terms of the total transaction numbers by 5%, which is actually commendable, considering the market is already at a high number of transactions after the pandemic. And this actually is coupled with the total value of transactions, which actually increased by 18%. Despite some concerns with the increase in property value or value of property transactions at 18% because of how the mechanics of calculation, we are also concerned. We are concerned with the sustainability of having a continuously above double-digit growth in terms of the property prices that was seen in the past. What we have seen last year is a bit different. And this is more sustainable in terms of the growth of total value of transactions as well as volume of transactions of about 5%, and even in terms of house prices, which grew only about 3 to 4% last year. This is more in line with the sustainable growth in terms of property prices, barring the fact that we are still concerned with the growth in income levels. So because of that, we can't actually afford to actually have too fast of a growth. We expect the growth for this year to be more steady. It is moderated a little bit more compared to how it was, or maybe around the same level, at about 5% or thereabouts, which is actually just nice to be in touch with the fundamental growth of the market rather than having too much speculation in the market.
And this is how we can see resilience of the property market. And we also want to take a look at the downside risks that may affect the property market. Do you anticipate any risk of market overheating or potential correction in 2025? What indicators or heads up should we watch for?
So one of the key indicators that's being quoted by a lot of parties is the number of unsold properties within the market. And within the unsold properties, there are actually three categories. Unsold completed properties, which is known as overhang. And there's also unsold not yet completed or under construction or yet to be constructed. The number of overhang properties, which are the completed unsold properties, have actually reduced. And that's actually steadily reduced since 2021, which is actually very good. But as the market improves, we also see the number of property launches have actually increased in the past 3 years. And this actually impacted the number of unsold properties that are under construction, which is not to be alarmingly worried. We're not worried about it so much because essentially these properties are still within the marketable period or the marketing period by developers. Although, that being said, these are the signs that we need to actually monitor very closely because to make sure that the injection in the market by the primary market sector, which is from the developers, are always in touch with the demand, how demand movement is like, so that it is not overly anxious or overly optimistic in terms of generating too many units, creating oversupply. And that's where the supply and demand matching is actually very, very important. Another thing is actually, one is actually on the unsold property. The other one is actually on the movement of income levels and consumer behavior. We also see that some of the signs that we actually look at is where some areas where there's a lot of growth, a lot of anticipation of growth is actually put in, where these developments are actually injected and actually sold through speculators mainly. So this is where we are also looking at the matching of the demand estimated against these are the areas where we can see there will be genuine growth in terms of demand because there are actual infrastructure, investment, and new business setups in those localities.
And earlier you mentioned, Sulaiman, that one of the key factors contributed to a very encouraging performance of the property market for 2024 was the government policy initiative and even the low rate interest. But looking at these two key aspects, how will potential interest rate adjustment and government policies impact property affordability and demand next year?
I think the government will continue to focus on increasing the affordability level of house prices in Malaysia within the affordable housing segment as well as the open market segment. So the OPR is expected to, by many economists, expected to be maintained at similar levels for this year, which actually would control in terms of the affordability of funds or bank loan interest rates from banks. But one factor that we also need to be very concerned with is price movements. And these are the price movements that although we have, as I mentioned earlier, last year it grew about 3%, 4%, and that's actually quite stable, steady growth, which is actually in line with the market. This is actually another telltale sign where we see if the price growth is growing too fast within an area, and it goes beyond the marketability and affordability of the target market, that's where it leads to unsold risk, property sellability risk, and hence the overhang problem. So for next year, the overhang, the OPR or the interest rates would actually expected to be continue to be stable. The affordable housing sector would actually be continued to be on focus by the government, which is actually very important.
All right. Sulaiman, I'm sorry, but we're at the end of our discussion. In a sentence, how will you summarize your outlook for the Malaysian property market in 2025? What advice will you give to developers and investors looking to navigate the market effectively next year?
I think the market has grown sustainably, and actually our responsible financing guidelines have actually helped to increase the resilience of the market. The growth is actually expected to continue, a bit more steady, and it's actually very important, and we have to be more wary of the signs not to repeat the problems or challenges that we had before, so that we can actually have a more vibrant and sustainable market into the future.
Yeah, the growth is expected to continue moving forward, but at the same time, we need to be very careful at the downside reach, as you have just shared within our discussion. Again, I'll say thank you very much to Sulaiman Sahir, Director of Research at Rahim & Co International, Sudian Berhad, and definitely all of our discussion here will be featured in astrawani.com across all social media. Stay tuned as we'll be taking a short break and we'll be right back.